Scrum trainer and certified trainer for training from the back of the room. She has a profound knowledge of Agile and Scrum and knows how to transfer that to teams, Scrum Masters and product owners. So it is my pleasure to hand over to you, Evelien, and Mark has already started the recording.
Yes, well, thank you for that introduction and welcome everybody. Great to have you in this Zoom session. And it would be even greater if I could see your faces. So if you are able to, please open your camera so we can see you. If you don't feel comfortable, that's okay. I don't want to force you, but it's better to look at faces than at just names. So thank you all for opening your camera. And today we will have an interactive session. So what we're going to do is, I'm not going to tell you like 50 minutes about how you can use brain science in your Scrum events, but you're going to find out yourself how you can do that. And for that, we are using a Mural. So I'm going to paste that link in the chat. But I'm also going to share my screen so we can look at the same screen at the same all at the same time. So I will share my screen, but you can also look along by yourself, which is highly recommended because you will need to add some sticky notes by yourself. And I cannot do that for all of you. So I'm sharing my screen. This is what I'm looking at, but also you can look at the Mural yourself. Well, I'm Evelien. I work at Xivia Academy, and what I do, I give trainings. So a lot of trainings. Scrum Master training is my favorite. I just finished a 2-day course, PSM. So I'm at the location still because I could not get home in time. I wrapped up all the papers and sticky notes, so it's clean, a clean room again. But it looked like it looked like a lot of fun. It was also a lot of fun. So that's what I do. I teach TBR, training from the back of the room, and this is where this talk is inspired on. But first, I want to know from you, what is your, because this session is not about me, it's about you, right? So I want to know, what is your favorite Scrum event? You can type that in the chat. You don't have to explain it, don't worry, but you're just curious, what is your favorite Scrum event? Yeah, Sprint Retrospective, Daily Scrum, a lot of retro, the Sprint, thank you, Stuart. Retro, Sprint. Yes, so a lot of Sprint Retrospective, and I think some people are still figuring out the Mural, so checking out where we are, that's perfectly fine. We have a daily Scrum, a Sprint review. So let's see today if we can spice things up by using brain science, because that's what we're going to do today. The agenda for today, I can ask you to follow me if you did not find my location where I'm looking at. Today we're starting with connections. That's kind of what we did earlier, connecting to each other. Then we'll go into the concepts, which we call the C2. We'll talk about how you can apply that. So that's concrete practice. And then we have the C4 conclusions. And there's a warning here that it will be an interactive session with breakout rooms. So be prepared for that. Of course, you don't have to go into a breakout room, but it will be awfully pity if someone's waiting for you in a breakout room. So please join it and then say, I don't want to contribute, instead of letting people wait into in the breakout session. And Catherine will take care of that. So that's great for offering that support. So let's dive into the concepts, which is the C2 for us. I did a training once. It was called Training from the Back of the Room. And it was, for me, it was a great learning experience because, well, as a teacher, I've been doing a lot of trainings, and I was just copying games and simulations that I've seen other people do or facilitate. And when I followed this training by Sharon Bowman, I realized the science or the theory behind it and understood why things work and why things don't work. And that awareness came to me when I was doing that training. So training from the back of the room is learning you how to make involving and engaging trainings. And I thought, okay, but this is something that you can also use not only in trainings, but also in conference talks, in Scrum events, and all other things where you need to involve and engage people. Training from the back of the room is based, I'm going a little bit to the right. So if you're looking by yourself, I'm going to accelerated learning. So that is where the whole training from the back of the room is based upon. Brain science done by Dave Meyer. It comes from the Accelerated Learning Handbook, which is really recommended if you're a teacher or a trainer. And Sharon Bowman has taken these 6 principles that you see on the left: body and mind, active creation, collaboration, many levels, active doing, emotions and images, into 6 brain science principles. So she used that information to set up her own brain science principles. We'll go through them all 6, so you will learn about them. So I'm going a little bit to the right, 6 brain science principles. So if you're on the Mural yourself, go to the right where it says shorter trumps longer, different trumps same, talking trumps listening, movement trumps sitting, images trump words, writing trumps reading. And you can read them as one is better than the other. So the meaning of the word trumps is one is better than the other for learning purposes. So if you look at this next slide with the images, it says shorter trumps longer. So what it means is, well, the brain learns best when content is divided in small chunks. And we'll dive into it a little bit deeper afterwards. Then we have different trumps saying. The brain notices changes. Talking trumps listening because learning is social. Then we have movement trumps sitting. Exercise boosts brain power. Then images trump words, meaning long-term memory of images is unlimited. And then writing trumps reading. I'm just muting someone, I think where the noise came from. And then we have writing trumps reading. Writing is a whole brain task. So these are 6 brain science principles, which I like to use in the Scrum events also, to make them more involving, to make them more engaging. It also helps you to create focus. It also helps you to let people pay attention, or to really to contribute and to collaborate in those sessions. Okay, so how do these brain science principles work? So I'm going a little bit down and then to the left, starting with shorter trumps longer. So what brain science has told us or has learned us is that the brain is able to pay attention for 10 to 20 minutes. I'm just distracted by the noise, but that's okay. So 10 to 20 minutes, that's how long your brain can pay attention. And it comes from like ages ago when people were still hunting for animals and they were laying in the fields waiting for something to happen. And after 10 or 20 minutes, your brain goes into kind of a hibernating mode. So not really paying attention anymore until something new happens. Then your brain kind of pops on or ignites, and then you pay attention again. So what we try to, and that is like over the years has become a habit or has grown into our brains. So that's still how our brain works, even though we're not hunting for animals in the fields anymore, or at least most of us are not. So what we try to do in training sessions and also in Scrum events is to try to have short segments of interesting things that are going on. Not 1 hour talks or not 1 hour sessions where people are not involved, where they go into that hibernating mode. No, we want to make things shorter, like 10 to 20 minutes, and then go to a next topic or to a next format, just to have everybody engaged and involved the whole time. So that's the brain science principle, shorter trumps longer. Then going into the next, different trumps same. So your brain works best if it encounters something new or something different. For something repetitive or something that you have seen before, your brain will pay less attention. Have you ever drove to your work or to your office without paying any attention to the road that you are driving on? And when you get to the office, you think, okay, nothing happens. But that's also how your brain works. If your brain says, okay, you don't have to pay attention. This is a road we always drive on, dear body. You don't have to pay attention. That's how your brain works. Then you don't, but when something new happens, or when there's an accident or there's a road closure or something like that, your brain will pay attention. So different from same in a training session or in a Scrum event means that we don't always want to do that same old sprint retrospective. We want to do things different, because else people will think, okay, boring. I've seen this sprint retrospective for 1,000 times. I'm not going to pay attention. And then you're starting on the wrong foot. So different from same. Try to build it into your sprint retrospective, but also in your daily scrums, right? Because else people will say, okay, here we go again. It's daily scrum time, boring, and people will not pay attention. So try to change the format maybe. Don't make a round robin where everybody waits for his turn and then starts involving or starts being engaged. So different trumps, same. Then we have talking trumps listening. So what brain research has learned us that when you talk about a topic or when you're teaching about a topic, you're doing the most learning. When you're just listening to information, like you're doing now, your brain only has to digest it when it's coming in and when you hear it. But when you have to talk about it, like I'm doing, I'm processing information and thinking about how to say it. So your brain is working extra hard, or my brain is working extra hard to share the right information with you. So in a learning session or in a Scrum event, if you talk, you will learn most, but you will also be more involved and more engaged, right? If you're doing a sprint review and there's just one person like the product owner talking, the other people will probably quickly disconnect their brain because, well, it's boring and they don't have to use their brain. So that's talking trumps listening. Then we have movement trumps sitting. So when you are in a class or in a Scrum event and you're sitting down and listening, and you have a low blood flow, right? The moment when you start moving around, your blood flow starts running more, taking more oxygen to your brain, and your brain gets a boost. You can think better, you can learn better, you're more awake because you have oxygen to your brain. So we have been in this session for 20 minutes. So I'm going to ask you to do a little stretch to get some movement in your body. So you can do a stretch whatever you want. If you don't feel comfortable doing it on the camera, you can just kill your camera for a moment and then do that stretch to get some oxygen to your brain, because, well, you want to get the most out of the session, right? So moving around will help you to do that. And just a short stretch is enough. Even if you get up off your chair and then sit down again, will probably be enough. And together with Sjoerd, we have created some fun body breaks, right, Sjoerd? All right. So that feels nice, right? And it might feel uncomfortable at the first time, but when you do this more often, even in your Scrum events, it will feel more comfortable when you do it more often, also in the online sessions. So that's movement trumps sitting, getting oxygen to your brain to get that brain boost. And then we have images trumps words. So in any session, if you're using images, they will stick longer to your brain. But also when you are drawing images, you have to think about what you're drawing. So using more brain capacity, but also using more senses, because, well, writing stuff down will help you to store information better, to process information better. So that's why we say images trumps words. I use this a lot in trainings where I let people draw something like an icon. It doesn't have to be the next Van Gogh or something. Just a simple icon or just a simple symbol is enough to get your brain working. So going over to the next one is writing trumps reading. Again, if you are reading, your mind could drift off. I don't know if you ever have experienced this, but sometimes when I read a book and I've read a few lines and I'm not really paying attention, and then I think back, oh, what did I read? I read the letters or the symbols, but I did not really process them. If you have to write something down, you are processing information. You are using your brain. It's hard to let your brain drift off when you're writing something down. I don't know if you ever tried writing something down while you're thinking about something else. That's pretty difficult. So again, in a Scrum event or in a training session, let people write stuff down. I think the most of you do that when writing sticky notes, for instance, in a sprint retrospective, but also in a sprint review. It's good to have people engaged in this way by writing stuff down. So those are the 6 brain science principles. And what we're going to do, we're going into breakout rooms in a moment. So I'm going a little bit down on the mural. We're going to make breakouts, or Catherine is making breakout rooms of 4. You can shortly introduce yourself with your name and function, but that don't take too long. You have a 12-minute time box, so please be aware of that. And as a group, you're going to choose one of the 5 Scrum events. I think you know them, right? I don't have to explain them. Agree on the essence of the Scrum event. So what is the purpose of this Scrum event? And then think about one of the 6 brain science principles. How can you use that brain science principle to spice up the Scrum event? So for instance, the daily Scrum, just locking this. For instance, the daily Scrum, if you say talking trumps listening, have everybody take a turn in speaking out or sharing the progress towards the sprint goal. Or for the sprint retrospective, if you take the brain science principle, different trumps same, use a different format every sprint retrospective. So that is what I'm going to ask you to do. Take one of the Scrum events and think about one of the brain science principles. How could it help us to boost our Scrum event? And you can write that on sticky notes, on separate sticky notes, of course. And then we're going to, you can place them in one of the boxes that contains your Scrum event. If you're done within the 12 minutes, you can choose another Scrum event and choose the same brain science principle, or you can choose the same event with another brain science principle. So I'm just checking for understanding. This is always a scary moment, because the moment we go into breakout rooms, people drop off. They say, oh, it's scary. Breakout rooms, I have to do something. So I hope you will stay in the session. Groups of 4. And Catherine, are you ready?
So it will be 10 rooms and about 4 people and co-hosts without. We stay back.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, see you in 12 minutes.
12. Should be open now.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I do have 2 accounts that I'm joining with, so it and I think you put me into a breakout. The backup is also in a breakout room.
Ah, okay.
That's okay. But I'm here with Jackie. So maybe you want to place Jackie in another breakout room.
Okay. Ah, no, it was just slower with them. Okay, now they are all gone. I'm so sorry, Evelien, that for the sound, I couldn't make those without camera visible, so I could switch it off immediately, but I just had to find it out later. I'm sorry for the inconvenience.
That's okay.
Hello, Khalees. I will send you into a breakout room. We just do a short session. It's about 10 more minutes about.
Okay, thank you.
I just checked if we have the less people. I think round number 9.
Okay. So we're good, right?
Yeah.
Good. So I can breathe again. It's always exciting.
You don't seem to be nervous at all, Evelien.
I am.
You're such a
I'm
good
always
facilitator.
nervous. Yeah, I'm always
Really?
nervous. Yeah.
You don't seem to be.
Well, thank you. That means I can hide it well.
You have a really good presence.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I had to calm myself down before we were starting.
Mhm.
Let's check out what's happening on the mural. If people got the exercise. Let's see.
So I made the breakout rooms for 12 minutes, and at my timer it's now 9:32. But your timer is 10:35. Shall I switch or?
I will stop it and then
Perfect.
or maybe that's not the best idea.
So it shows
have-
9 minutes and 15 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a break? What settings do we have, Katrin? At the end, does it give them like a minute or 30 seconds left to wrap up, or?
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. But I could send them a message. Shall I?
No. I think you have to, if you in the settings have set it to 60 seconds,
Okay.
then I don't know if I can see that. Before it's pulling people back into the room, into the main session.
Okay.
But I can stop the timer now. Nobody's paying attention probably yet.
Okay.
Hopefully. And then if you, how much time do they still have?
8 minutes 20.
8:20. Okay. And I'm starting the time again.
And I sent them a message like 2 minutes before the end or 1 minute before the end. How do you want?
Yeah, 1 minute before the end is good. Yeah. So how is the turn up or the, how do you call that? Turn up? Usually, because I saw a lot of people in the meetup RSVP. Yes, like 100. Last I saw it was 210.
Yeah, usually about 1/3 really shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I questioned that because I thought it was more, but after I started looking at the numbers, it was almost exactly a third.
Yeah.
Right at 30%. Yeah.
But it doesn't depend on the speaker so far, what I understood. It's just, I think things that are free makes people to apply, and then everybody's busy or stuff.
Yeah.
It's
And
interesting
maybe-
because we always send the recordings out, but people still want to register to make sure, I guess, they get the recording. But Jamie's always really good about distributing the recordings in the slides.
To everybody who RSVP'd or to everybody who joined the session?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Maybe she does do it just to everybody who RSVP'd.
But as we have a YouTube channel, I think everybody already knows that.
Yeah,
if the
that's true. You
speaker
could just
says yes,
subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have somebody else in the waiting room, but I leave her there until we come all back, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Good thought.
Yeah. So are you ever planning to do a global physical meetup?
Oh, that would be so lovely. We never thought about it.
I think
Not
that
with
would be
everybody.
great.
Yeah.
Right? Like an how do you call that? Independent conference global conference, not being how do you call it, organized by Scrum Alliance or maybe or not by Scrum.org. Or I think that would be great. Oh, hello.
Hello, Mark, did you let him in? Or maybe it was Jamie.
I think I pressed the button. I'm sorry.
No problem. Just to let you know that you don't wonder, we are doing breakout rooms right now. It's still 5 more minutes. Do you want to be brought to that, or do you stay with us? Please unmute yourself if you haven't realized that. Okay, I think he just stays.
I made a note, Katrin, for us to set the Zoom settings so that everybody's muted by default when they
Oh,
join.
great. Perfect, Mark.
We'll do that going forward. So sorry about the interruptions, Evelyn.
That's okay. I think I muted one person who is had a noisy background. That's okay. That's okay.
Somebody's washing dishes or something.
Yeah.
Or going to the toilets. Could also
Yeah.
be. We don't want to think that. Right.
Evelien, you will contact all the participants later, I understood, yes? For the new presentation, or?
Yeah, well, I think I can share the mural with them as a PDF.
Okay.
I do like to connect with them on LinkedIn, but I can just paste the link in the chat, for instance. Yeah, I'll do that.
Mark, did you already share the LinkedIn information about Evelien while I was talking?
Let me see. I shared a lot of information. I don't know that I shared Evelien's information though.
No, I don't think so.
So maybe
Yeah.
you could do it while we wrap it up at the end. So before people leave, they have a chance.
Yeah. Is that in the slides?
Oh no, I can check. I can find it out one moment.
Just your LinkedIn? Is that what you're talking about, Evelien?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you, Mark.
Sure thing.
I very rarely use Zoom. I always use Teams. When I put the timer, they will come back automatically, or shall I hit the button, close the rooms? Do you have more experience, Mark or Evelien?
Well, you can hit the button, close all rooms, but I don't know how much time they will have before they get pulled back.
Okay.
I always have it set at 60 seconds, so people have time to round it off. Yeah, we'll see.
So Jamie's in one of the rooms too, Mark, as she had no co-host rights. I think she was just running out of time. Driving.
Ah.
Oh, there are a lot of post-its already for daily Scrum.
Yeah, daily Scrum is usually the easiest to do. Sprint review is a little bit harder usually. And I also have, well, I've done this talk before, so I also have some ideas from other people. I think I could add those.
Evelien, do you ever get anyone who gives you negative feedback on using the word trumps?
Yes. Well, not negative feedback, but we use in the virtual edition, we use over, so images over words and writing over reading, but because that's easier to change, right? In all the documentation and books, Sharon uses trumps. Yeah, we have had the discussion once. Yeah. Online it's easier to change. But also it's also we usually don't talk politics in classes. So. Yeah, so if someone goes into that, yeah,
You just
Not
shut
a-
them down pretty quick.
Yeah, it's not the place to talk about that. I respect everybody's choices. Or favorism. Yeah. And maybe it's for European people, it's not that big a deal.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know.
All right, 45 seconds.
Mhm.
Lots of cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go back on mute.
Okay, I got the message. They end in 10 seconds for closing.
Okay. I can see that on my backup.
What is it?
Okay, welcome back. I hope you've had a good conversation in your breakout room. And it might be possible that you have not looked at the other Scrum events or what was happening there. So I'm going to give you a little bit time to look at the other ideas on the mural and then to see what you would like to what you would like to try. And if you have found an activity that you would like to try, or if you want to know more about that, you can write that in the chat. So I'll give you just a few minutes to do so, just to review what other people have entered. So go ahead, I will stop talking. Okay, I know it's a lot of the ideas to read, but maybe you have found an idea that you want to try. If you have not found the idea that you want to try, I also have some other suggestions which I will add to the mural that we are working on, just to give you some more inspiration. And no worries, you can enter the mural also after this session. So if you have not found your favorite activity you want to try, you can read about it. So I'm just curious if someone wants to write in the chat an activity that you want to try. So please do that now.
I like the idea of drawing the working agreement instead of writing them.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you. I also see some nice suggestions from Chris Stone and other resources. Walking sprint planning, interesting. Drawing the sprint goal, yeah, great one. Using an emoji to describe how you feel today. Yeah. You can also have people draw an emoji, right? So at the start of your sprint retrospective or your daily scrum, just ask them to draw an emoji. Could be. There's a question. Should ask, what is duplunk? I don't know what that means. So maybe we have to search that on Google. Or it's a typo, I don't know. Yeah, so Catherine said, start the meetings with 5 minutes of free talking. I used what one word describes the sprint retro. Oh yeah, I think that is it. That is it. Duplink maybe. Yeah, probably it is. Thank you, Florin. Great. So we have some good ideas, enough inspiration to use, I guess. I'm going back to, well, I'm sharing my screen, but I'm moving a little bit forwards to where we were. And I'm over here. I can ask you to follow me if you're on the mirror yourself. So some ideas that I like. Oh, daily scrum. Rotate the order to prevent next in line effects. So that's obviously different from same. So we don't always have the same order that we go around. Check-in round happiness. So maybe you can do that with an emoji or drawing. Stand up and stretching. Maybe you're doing a daily scrum or you're all day you're in meetings, maybe online. And maybe it's good to get up and stretch once in a while. Visualizing your progress by drawing, by using Lego or using balls could be a different approach, or the rotation of moderation. So who is facilitating the daily scrum could be ideal. So if you're doing sprint planning, you could get up to the board and move around, and just instead of just sitting and digesting information, could be good to ask people to put something on the board or let them stand up. Well, connected to that is writing the items on sticky notes and put them on the wall or floor or wherever you're, whatever is best for you. Visualizing the business value and drawing your sprint goal. That was also in the comments, in the chat, a good idea. Sprint retrospective, some ideas, dot voting, maybe with sticky notes, physical sticky notes if you're doing it physically. And of course, in Mural or Miro, that's easier done. Well, let everybody talk is a good idea. How you can do that, maybe by using liberating structures or using different formats of sprint retrospectives. Also trying different formats to sparkle creative problem solving. And maybe if you use the different formats and you're discussing the same old problems, it might help you in finding a new creative solution if you're not just doing the same old boring sprint retrospective. For the sprint review, have people write down their stakeholder happiness, or always advised to let stakeholders handle the mouse. So involve them or engage them in what you're doing, not have your sprint review as a static PowerPoint slide, but having really let them move the mouse around, or let them play out a scenario, or have them add a guest or add a customer. You can also use a sailboat retrospective. It's just a format, and I think there were a lot of links shared in the Mural about sprint retrospectives. Retromat.org is also a good one if you're looking for involving and engaging sprint retrospectives. But Probably a lot of Scrum Masters know that already. So for the sprint, which is mostly the difficult one to think about, what brain science principle can we use in a sprint? Well, for instance, very simple, take a walk during lunchtime. I think in Corona periods, a lot of people have experienced how nice it is when you're at home to go out and to have a walk, but also in the office, of course, you can do that. During sprint, you can agree to do some pair programming or maybe switch roles, make a visual Scrum board if you want, close the day with positive remarks on a whiteboard. So connecting these activities to the brain science principles made me understood why those things work, instead of just doing stuff because they're fun or just doing stuff because, well, they are different. So I'm going a little, so that's my 2 cents. But anyway, this is about you, and you'll probably have better ideas than my single brain alone. So don't let this be your only inspiration, but look at the board for other interesting stuff. So I'm going a little bit down. I will ask you to follow me. Oh, that's the wrong button. So in this talk, which trumps have you seen used? I'm going to ask you to find an emoji in Zoom that resembles the brain science principles and put it in the chat. So you can choose, you don't have to look for these icons or these symbols, just any symbol that you think resembles the brain science principle is okay. And you can do that in Zoom by Control Command space bar. And for Windows, it's different. Yeah, so I think we have talking trumps listening. Different trumps saying maybe. Shorter trumps longer. Movement trump sitting. I'm just guessing, so let's see. What's the depends? Shorter trumps longer?
Short.
Short, yeah, I thought that, yeah. Great, change trumps same. Writing trumps reading. I should check, but I think we hit them all. Yeah, probably was. So thank you for sharing that in the chat. Question to you, what did you notice by using these brain science principles in this session? What was made possible and what effect did it have on you? So I'm just asking if someone wants to share verbally with others. What did you notice? What was made possible, or what effect did it have on you? So if you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'll share. Thank you for this. It was super helpful. I've got like these bits of knowledge in separate compartments of my brain, and it's helpful to have a reminder like this to like overlap those and to like apply those. I'm like, oh, why am I not already doing this in these ceremonies? You know, so yeah, it was super helpful. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jim. Anybody else?
Yeah. Chi-Chi. This was super enlightening. Didn't think of brain in that way, and breaking it down and connecting it to everyday life actually brings in another level of engagement, ways I could engage personally and even in my teams. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Wallace.
Chi-Chi, actually.
Chi-Chi, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, my name is there.
Your name, yeah, sorry. I could not see your face, so I
you.
took Wallace. Okay, we have a raised hand by that Guts, and I'm very curious what that is.
Yeah, it's actually a typo. It's supposed to be that guy. Anyway, one of the things I've often used is talking trumps listening, and that's one of my favorite things to use in like a teaching scenario. So I commonly use teachbacks and ask, well, if we do this, why does that make sense? And then wait for somebody to explain why it makes sense. And then during my retrospectives, one of the things that I'll do is I'll see the engagement. If I see the engagement drop, I'll try changing a new board. Sometimes, typically between that, I'll actually do like a coaching session and then transition to a new style board with new things. and then you'll see re-engagement picking back up again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing. And Jackie? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. It was definitely very helpful to know the why of how these things that I've put into practice in various areas, and great to hear some feedback from other folks too on what they've observed and what they've used, and just to know that there is a science behind it, and be able to share that with the team as well, you know, that so they don't know that just changing something up or knowing the why helps them understand too and be better at it as well.
Yeah, great. That also helped me understanding why we're doing stuff, right? So
Exactly.
thank you for sharing.
Not just to do it just for the sake of doing it, but there's a reason behind it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Daniel, if you want to go last, go ahead.
Sure, thank you. The effect this had on me, I could see how during the session you used the different principles, and what I felt was engaged. I felt learning. I felt like I was participating. I felt connected to other people, and these all made the session valuable for me.
Great. Well, thank you, Daniel, and thank you all for participating and actively participating. I'm going a little bit to the right. I'm not going to do the conclusion. Well, maybe you can think about it. Of the brain science principles, which one is most challenging for you? Well, we did this. Look at the complete mural, find one activity on the mural that you might want to try. And I ask you to write it down in the chat. So I'm just skipping this so we can have time to do a proper closure, which kind of did already a little bit. So I'm very thankful that I was able to do this session. I would really like to take a picture of you all. And I asked Sharon to do so. It would be great if we have people and not names in our picture. So if you just for a moment would like to, how do you call it? Unhide yourself? Is that not the right word?
Evelien, would you like to stop sharing the screen so I see more camera pictures?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I count. Please, one moment.
Yeah, we have 2 pages, right? 3 to.
Yes.
Great. I'm also taking one. Yeah, that's okay. Now we're really getting to the closure.
Okay. So in the meantime, I think Mark is so friendly and is sharing the LinkedIn contact of Evelien. So everybody, please feel free and connect with her.
Yes, that would be great. If you have any feedback on this session, if you liked it or if you did not like it, you can enter that in the feedback part below. We will not discuss it, but hey, we're inspecting and adapting. So if you have any suggestions to improve, I'm happy to take them in. There was one question in the direct chat to me, how you can save the mural. Of course, you can take a screenshot, but I'm also happy to share a PDF of the mural. But you can also find a link to the document, the PDF, which talks about 6 brain science principles. And I will also share a link to the article that I wrote, which was actually a part of Günter Verheijen's book. So 99, what's it called? 99 things all Scrum practitioners should know. Now I'm sorry that I don't know it by head, but yeah. I will share the link on the mural, so no worries. So how can we do that best, Catherine? Can we share something in the meetup online?
Yes, if you send me the stuff, I can send it to all people that have participated today.
Yeah, okay, so that would be great. So adding that to the meetup, yeah. And of course, recommended books would be the Brain Rules by John Medina, which is also talking about brain science in work. You also have a brain rules for kids if you want to know how your kids' brain work. Very interesting. You can find the link to that on the Mural also. The PDF is also on the Mural. And we have a session, Training from the Back of the Room, the virtual edition, starting in July. So that's a 5-day session of 2.5 hours, which is based upon the book that Sjoerd is showing us. Yes, great. Thank you. So if there are any questions, I will be on for a few minutes, or I stay on for a few minutes. So you can ask. And for all other people who want to leave, I want to say a big thank you. And we'll see you next session in June, I guess.
Thank you so much, Evelien. Yes, it was really wonderful. Thank you for supporting us, Scrum Masters of the Universe.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. This was very helpful.
Thank you, Jackie.